So we're going to keep solving quadratic equations. Just today we're going to use something called the quadratic formula. I love the quadratic formula. It looks really yucky and gross, but it is an option that you have to solve a quadratic equation if the graph doesn't work out nicely, if it doesn't factor well. It's another option for solving quadratics. Here is what the quadratic formula looks like, and y'all are oh so lucky because the quadratic formula, the way I remember it is that it goes along with the song, and since I don't have to look at all of you while I'm doing this, I'm going to sing you the lovely little song. So here is the quadratic formula. This is what it looks like. And it looks really ugly and mean, but it's really not. It's not too bad of an equation, especially if you can just remember just to plug and chug. Now here is how I remember it, and I cannot write it down without singing this stupid little tune in my head, so you're going to have to forgive me, and you can make fun of me all you want while you're at home, but leave it there. I don't want to hear it tomorrow. So here's how it goes. It goes to the tune of Pop Goes the Weasel, and here's how I remember it. It goes x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I always love the all over 2a part because it helps me remember not to divide by, not to forget that part. But there you go. There's my singing for the year. That's all you get. No, I am no American Idol. But this is your quadratic formula. This plus or minus thing here. Here is the reason why there is a plus or minus thing. We're just going to talk briefly about why that is. Anytime I take a square root of a number, okay, the square root of 49, y'all all know that the square root of 49 is 7. 7 times 7 equals 49. But you should also know that the square root of 49 also equals negative 7, because what happens when I do negative 7 times negative 7, what does that equal? Negative 7 times negative 7 gives you a positive 49. So the square root of 49 is really plus or minus 7. It could be either one of those numbers. It could either be a positive 7 or it could be negative 7 because both of those numbers work. That is the reason why this plus or minus is there. Plus this helps to give us the two solutions that we're going to have to come up with when we do our problems. So we're going to practice quadratic formula. Don't be afraid of it. It's really quite simple. So let's do some examples. Here's example 1. First things first, I cannot do this problem until this equals 0. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is make this equal 0. I like for my x squared term to be positive, so I'm going to leave this 2x squared over here, and I'm going to move the 5x and the 3 over instead of just subtracting 2x squared. It doesn't matter. You can do it the other way. I prefer my x squared to stay positive if at all possible. So I'm going to make this equal 0 by subtracting 5x and subtracting 3. And I have to do the same thing over here so that all of this cancels out. And then over here on this side, I still have 2x squared minus 5x minus 3, and that is equal to 0. So here is my quadratic formula, or my quadratic equation. I'm going to solve this using the quadratic formula. And so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to write my formula down. X equals negative b plus or minus square root. See, tell you, I just almost can't do it. B squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And then the thing you have to remember when doing these problems, okay, is that the first coefficient is a, the second coefficient is b, and the third coefficient is c. And when you are doing these problems and plugging into the quadratic formula, make sure that you keep the signs with the coefficients. Otherwise, it will mess your whole problem up. So, x is going to equal opposite of b. Well, right now, b is negative 5. So the opposite of b is 5 plus or minus. Then I have to do b squared. So I have negative 5 squared, because now it's just b. It's not the opposite of b. So the negative stays. Minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is negative 3. All of that is divided by 2 times a, which in this case is 2. So I have plugged everything in. Now it's just a matter of calculating and doing the math problem. and I may run out of room, so I'm going to scoot over just a little bit here. So now I have x equals 5 plus or minus. I'm going to simplify this inside the radical or the square root sign really quick. So negative 5 squared becomes 25. And then, oh, let's not put a sign yet. Let's leave this little minus sign off for just a second. Okay, so then I will just multiply. Negative 4 times positive 2 is a negative 8. And then negative 8 times negative 3 is a positive 24. So this becomes plus 24. And all of this is divided by 4. Well, this right here, 25 plus 24, is going to be 49. So now I have 5 plus or minus the square root of 49 divided by 4. Now this plus or minus tells me I have two problems to do. Problem number 1, I'm going to do 5 plus the square root of 49 divided by 4. Well, the square root of 49 is 7, so this becomes 5 plus 7 divided by 4, and 5 plus 7 is 12. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So one of my roots, the first one, is going to be x equals 3. So there is the first solution to this function. My second problem that I'm going to do is going to be 5 minus the square root of 49 divided by 4. Well, again, the square root of 49 is 7, so I have 5 minus 7 divided by 4. Well, 5 minus 7, that should be a 4, not a 2. I apologize. 5 minus 7 is negative 2 over 4, which becomes negative 1 half. So my other root is negative 1 half. So my two solutions for this quadratic function are going to be 3, 0, and negative 1 half, 0. And I got that by doing all of this. And I know it looks like a lot, but there are going to be instances where the quadratic formula is the best option because either it won't factor or the graph does not come out to something that you can deal with. So let's try another one. Let's make it equal 0. So I have 4x squared plus 4x plus 1 equals 0. And then let's plug into the quadratic formula. So I have x equals the opposite of b, which is negative 4, plus or minus b squared, so 4 squared, minus 4 times a times c. All of this is divided by 2 times a. And let's simplify. So x equals negative 4 plus or minus the square root of, well, this becomes 16. And then negative 4 times 4 is negative 16 times 1 is still negative 16 all over 8. Excuse me. Well, 16 minus 16 is 0. So what you now have is x is equal to negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 0 divided by 8. So the first problem we're going to take the plus sign. So I have x equals negative 4 plus the square root of 0, which is 0 over 8. Negative 4 plus 0 is negative 4 over 8, which comes out to negative 1 half. And then if I do the other one, negative 4 minus the square root of 0, which is 0 over 8, well, that is still negative 4 over 8, so it's still negative 1 half. So this has the same root. So I only have one solution to this one because this is a perfect square. It just dips down, touches the x-axis, and dips back up. So my one root for this problem is negative 1 half and 0. There is your answer. So next one. This one is already solved for 0 for you. So we're just going to plug in, but it is not in the right order. So before I go doing anything, let's put this in the right order. So it should go x squared minus 4x minus 7 equals 0. This way I can know for sure that it goes A, B, C. Always make sure that it is in the right order. It goes x squared, then x, then no x. So we'll plug into our quadratic equation. So x equals the opposite of b, which is 4, plus or minus the square root of b squared, so negative 4 squared, minus 4 times a, well, a is 1, times c, which is negative 7, all over 2 times 1. Whoops. So let's simplify. So I have 4 plus or minus. Negative 4 squared is 16. Negative 4 times 1 is going to be negative 4. And then negative 4 times negative 7 is going to be, I apologize, totally went brain dead there, equals 28. And all of this is divided by 2. So now we'll continue with what we're doing, and we will simplify here. So I have x equals 4 plus or minus the square root of 16 plus 28 is 44 all over 2. This is not a perfect square. So what's going to happen when I do this problem is I'm going to get, I'm going to have a decimal. I'm going to have to estimate. And so I'm going to have to make sure I round to the thousandths place, because that is AP standard, and you need to get used to the AP standard is to round to 3 decimal places whenever you have to round something. So we're going to round to the thousandths place, and we're going to do this using our calculator. And I am just going to type this in. So I have x equals 4 plus the square root of 44 divided by 2, and I have x equals 4 minus the square root of 44 divided by 2. So we're going to get our calculator, and we're going to type it in just exactly as it is written. And I'm going to open everything on my page first, apparently. So you're going to type it in exactly as it is written. So the first thing you're going to do is 4 plus, now to get the square root, you hit second x squared, and then 44. Go ahead and hit enter and get that, and it's going to be a long decimal. Leave it as is, and then hit divided by 2. You don't have to retype it. If you just hit divided by 2, it does it for you. And you get a really long number. It comes out to 5.31662479, but we want it just to the thousandths place. So we're going to go to the thousandths place. As soon as I get my pen back up. And so that rounded to the thousandths place is going to be 5.317. So it is approximate, so I put the little squiggly equal signs instead of the solid ones, but that's the approximate answer. So our approximate root is right there. This would be the exact answer. This would be approximate. So now I'm going to do the same thing. So I would do 4 minus the square root of 44. Get that answer, and then divide that by 2, and round that to the thousandths, and so this becomes x equals negative 1.317. And I did that on my calculator. If you need to see that again tomorrow, you can ask me. I will show you.